Our top story this hour coming in from West Asia. In a major breakthrough in Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks, President Trump has confirmed that the two sides have agreed to the first phase of his 20-point Gaza peace plan. As part of the first phase of the plan to end the conflict in Gaza region, a pause in fighting and release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners will take place. My colleague Diksha Bisla gives us an overview of what we know so far.
Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a ceasefire in Gaza after days of indirect talks in Egypt. Now, what does it include? We're going to break down all of that and let you know. Now, a source close to the negotiators told AFP that Hamas will release 20 living hostages. Israel, in exchange, will release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and 250 among those serving life sentences and 1,700 others who were detained since the beginning of the war. The exchange should take place within 72 hours of the implementation of the deal. Now, a daily minimum of 400 trucks of aid will enter the Gaza Strip for the first 5 days of the ceasefire, which is to be increased in the following days. Meanwhile, reports also said that the deal stipulates scheduled withdrawals of Israeli troops. Qatari Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari has said that both sides have already agreed on all the provisions and implementation mechanism of the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he will convene his government today to approve the agreement. The deal will be formally signed around midday in Egypt. Meanwhile, Hamas officials said that negotiations for the second phase would begin immediately after that. Now, in announcing the agreement, none of the major parties addressed key sticking points, including the disarmament of Hamas and the future of Gaza. Well, before the announcement was made, Trump received a note during White House meeting saying a Gaza deal was very close and seeking his approval for a social media post. Very close, said the note, handed to Trump by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and seen by an AFP photographer in the room. Well, in a post on Truth Social Network, Trump said that all of the hostages will be released very soon and Israel will withdraw its troops to an agreed-upon line, calling it the first steps towards a strong, durable and everlasting peace. Netanyahu has invited Trump to address the Knesset in Jerusalem during a phone call between the two on Thursday morning.
Now, in a recent interview on Fox News Hannity, President Donald Trump has shared new details about a phone call with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. In fact, the call came shortly after Trump announced a major breakthrough in the ceasefire agreement, along with a hostage release deal. According to Trump, Israeli Prime Minister expressed surprise at the positive reaction from the international community. President Trump emphasized that beyond political approval, the world is once again rallying around Israel. And he even told Netanyahu that Israel cannot take on the world alone. Reflecting on the deal, President Trump described it as a product of both strategic talent and timing, pointing to several major developments, including moves that are aimed at curbing Iran's nuclear ambitions as contributing factors. The U.S. president also highlighted the efforts of key players within his administration, crediting figures like U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff for their contributions. Trump also praised the U.S. military, calling it a vital force in bringing the agreement across the finish line, and commended its leadership for playing an instrumental role in the same. While diplomatic efforts continue abroad, political developments are unfolding rapidly in Israel. Leaders of Israeli opposition even met this week to discuss the strategies for challenging Prime Minister Netanyahu's leadership. However, despite their political goals, they expressed unified support for Trump's 20-point peace plan. The group known as the Change Bloc brings together prominent Israeli figures, including opposition leader Yair Lapid, former Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot, former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, among others. The bloc even announced its intent to work towards forming what they call a government of repair and healing for Israel. Last year, surveys showed that Itamar Ben-Gvir as the top choice to succeed Netanyahu among the Prime Minister's bloc supporters. But with the opposition aiming to oust the government, his political future appears increasingly uncertain. Analysts even say that his place in the political landscape of Israel will depend largely on the outcome of ongoing peace efforts and Prime Minister Netanyahu's ability to keep his government stable.